What's going on, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about how to flatten your water stones, or whetstone, whatever you want to call it. I have the 5000 Sharpening Pro, 2000 Sharpening Pro, 500 Sharpening glass. These are the three I'm going to be flattening right now. I actually just did the video a couple days ago about convexing the side, but I still need to flatten the face here because I am going to be sharpening the Ganzo FH21. The factory edge is decent, but I want to put a better edge on it, and I figured this would be a good time to teach you how to flatten whetstones with the cheapest method possible, which is sandpaper and a flat surface. We're going to be using a granite tile. It's a 12 by 12. This tile was like $5 at the Big Blue Home Center. Around here we have the big blue one and that big orange one, so either one of those you'll find this type of granite tile. I'm going to grab a pencil to mark the face. And basically I'm just going to draw a grid so that I know once I've removed all the pencil, I have a flat surface. I'm not going to square this up. I'm going to keep it convex for now. So draw whatever designs you want on it. Basically, you just need something on there to be your reference. Once you have a reference, you'll know. Basically, once this pencil's all gone, you have a flat surface. I have an Atoma diamond plate here. This is another way you can do it, and you basically just rub the stone back and forth on it with water till it's flat. Once the pencil is gone, you know you have a flat surface. Atomas are pretty good. Sometimes they can warp, but for the most part they're pretty flat. I find that this is a really effective and expensive method that I figured sharing it with you guys. This is the easiest and the cheapest method. This is 60 grit 3M sandpaper. This is really coarse. The 500 you could get away with keeping the 60 grit on it, but all three of these I am going to smooth them out with like a Agra stone, or maybe I'll use like the Atoma 400. The way that you guys can get around that is just use like a 120 piece of sandpaper or 220 after the really coarse sandpaper. I find 60 puts up with the abuse of the ceramic because it is so hard. A 120 dulls pretty quickly, so I just find that this works good. So let's get some water. Basically just putting water on the tile just a little bit to kind of suction the paper down. This is like a coated back on the paper, so it shouldn't move much. In the very beginning it'll move a little bit, but once you get going, it'll stay put. Once you get like any air trapped out, push it down. You know, it kind of figures itself out. So let's start with the 500, and I'm not putting you know, a ton of pressure on it or anything. I want it to be even. I am going to move in different patterns, so like figure 8. I might move back and forth, up and down. I might go side to side. Anything to keep it as random as possible, so that I make sure that I'm not, you know, taking off too much on one side or too much on the top but not on the bottom. So you'll see how I'll do it. And there's just very faint pencil lines still here, but most of it's actually gone. Alright, at this point, all the pencil line is off, so we're good to go. Just clean the grit off. So I'm just really cleaning the stone off well in the sink right now. Making sure that all that grit particle is off. And I use a paper towel to dry, just so I don't contaminate with that dish rag that I was just using in case there's any 60 grit particle left. That's important to make sure that you clean your stones really well. That's actually why I like using the Toma diamond plate so much too, is it's one of the few diamond plates that the diamonds don't fall off really easily and get like the diamond, you know, where sometimes it can like embed in the ceramic, but I've never had any issues like that. I've only heard about those issues. So now I'm going to rinse the sandpaper off. Rinse the tile. And then we're going to grab the 2000 grit, wet it, and then we're going to lap that. Now, another way that you can do it is with silicon carbide granules. You need usually like a float glass surface. This is 150 grit silicon carbide by Gritomatic. It works really effectively. I have yet to find like a really good quality float glass piece that lasts a long time, and the sandpaper is a lot cleaner. That's another benefit to it, and it's pretty inexpensive. Silicon carbide is cheap too. I forget how much I paid for that little jar, but it wasn't much, maybe like 10 bucks or less. Here you should be able to see the pencil line is almost gone. It's all gone on like the outer perimeter. It's just this middle part that needs to be done, and that's because when you sharpen, most of the time you sharpen in the middle of the stone, and that's where it dishes. So we'll just keep flattening this. Alright, and now all the pencil lines are gone, and this is nice and flat. Just going to rinse this off in the sink. And then start flattening the 5000 grit. And the pencil line is almost gone. There's just a little bit right here in the middle that we need to still get rid of. And just like that, we are good to go. And then set that aside to dry. At this point, I'll rinse the sandpaper off. You can reuse it. I find it's easier just to get new piece every time. And now I'll show you the last step in how I smooth the stones out. I'm going to use a Nagara stone, a natural Nagara stone, but they do sell synthetic Nagara stones that are pretty inexpensive. If you have a natural Nagara stone, that will work just fine. And for this to smooth it out, I'm just going to use a Tenjin Agra. There we go. So there you can see it's an Asano Tenjin Agra. And I'm actually going to start with the 5000 and work my way back. So I go finest to coarsest. So if there is any transfer of grit, worst case scenario, you know, we'll minimize it. Now go ahead and do the 2000, and it makes quick work of it. It really smooths it out fast. This thing, you saw how fast it lifted up that purple slurry, so do the same with this one. And then last we'll do with the 500. And the 500, you can opt to do it, or you don't really have to, since 500 is pretty coarse anyways. I usually will do the Atoma plate, but this is an effective way to just inexpensively get your stones flat. So for those of you who are on a budget, or don't have money to throw at an Atoma plate, hopefully this will work for you. Or if you're new at it, you don't know how much you want to invest in the whole system of sharpening, this is a good way to start out. And I definitely would suggest anybody who carries a knife, learn how to sharpen it, learn how to take care of it, have the tools to keep it sharp, because if you don't, then what's the point of having one? What's the point of having a dull knife? It doesn't do you any good. So, alright guys, that's going to do it for the flattening video. Thanks for coming along. This is Mike with I Heart Knives. If you'd please go down, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate all of you guys. And from the request of one of the YouTubers that follows me, I did start an Instagram page. I'm not a huge fan of social media, but I know the knife community is pretty big on Instagram, so I figured I'd share with you guys on that, so you could find that. My Instagram, it's I Heart Knives, just like this. So Alright guys, that's going to do it. Again, thanks for coming along. I'll see you guys on the next one.